Okay, guys, I just got some random thoughts that I want to put out there. Olympic wrestling, full swing. We're seeing a lot of the overseas countries commonly in the top three for gold, silver, bronze. We're seeing, the Russian countries and the Russian states, Turkey. And then we have the Americans wondering why, or they're saying, oh, I can't believe, so-and-so has lost, or we're not doing well. And here's the thing. As a physical preparation coach, the majority of my studies and the best information I've gotten comes from the overseas coaches. Now, years ago, I read a book, Secret of Soviet Sports and Fitness Training, now Secrets of Russian Sports and Fitness Training by Dr. Yessis. That book was written, I believe, right before I was born, maybe it wasn't written before I was born, but they were getting information before I was born. He was talking about things happening in the 1970s. And when I read it, I believe I read the book around 2002, 2003. I was like, holy crap. What Soviets were doing, now Russia, 30 years ago is ahead of what America's doing. We're like more than 3 decades behind in the training. Now, there's a system with these overseas countries, especially within Russia and Uzbekistan countries and all those places. They have a system, meaning the sport coaches at the youth level are some of their best coaches. So what do we have in America? We have volunteers as parents. And then if you look at the best, speaking of wrestling, if you look at some of the best high schools, they have some of the best feeder systems, be it a rec program, a middle school program, a club in the area. So I'm going to use South Plainfield for example. They're regularly just top-notch team, and it's because when they get to the high school, they've had great coaching at the elementary and the middle school. So the foundation is tremendous. It's just years and tens and hundreds of thousands of repetitions ahead of these other towns that don't have a great feeder system. Now, that's just the way it is in America. We're going to have to deal with it. There's also just countless politics and crybaby BS happening, meaning it's not the coaches get tired, the great coaches get tired of volunteering because there's mediocre, average, and crappy coaches at these feeder levels who are not allowing or accepting volunteer and help from highly qualified former wrestlers. So that's part of the problem. Number 2, I've been to colleges where the college wrestlers cannot do a proper push-up. Okay, we're talking about, kids that have succeeded at a high level, all state champion, all American wrestlers who can't do a push-up. The sport coaches in these overseas countries are also highly versed in physical preparation. So they are doing both the physical preparation and the wrestling skills, and they understand recovery methods. Whereas in America, we always talk about hard work. And in America, it's a business. I know I run several strength and conditioning facilities, but if I had the opportunity to be part of a team and didn't have to worry about any of the business stuff, I could be all in on the training. And that's a huge difference to these sport and physical preparation coaches who oftentimes have master's degrees in biomechanics and coaching and weightlifting. Like, they are legitimate, masters of their craft, and they're working with the youngest kids, so they understand how to cross train. Whereas in America, we go all in. Oh, my son's a wrestler, he can't play baseball, he can't play football, he can't play tennis, he can't swim, we gotta wrestle. Hey, I've got my son doing 100 pull-ups, 100 push-ups. Okay, it may have worked for some of the kids, the outliers. Gary Kolat doing his several thousand push-ups. But if you look at our most successful wrestlers overseas, they're tremendous athletes, and they've had a tremendous upbringing, a tremendous foundation, and they've got tremendous coaches. And look, is America doing bad? No, they're winning gold, silver, bronze. It's tremendous. But these other countries have the edge. Somebody like me, if I was in Russia, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't worry about my website. I wouldn't have to worry about advertising. They would implant me in a school and they would have me create the system or be part of the system to building up their athletes. And if that athlete was maybe not, when it came time to specialize, was not well versed for wrestling, we would move him into whatever his body and emotional state was best suited for. If he wasn't a very aggressive kid, he may be moving into a different sport that didn't require kind of that, aggressive, fired up attitude. So we don't have a system here. That's the bottom line. The system is broken, and other examples are there could be a high school with a poor wrestling program that's within 10 minutes from high-level wrestling clubs, and that wrestling coach makes zero effort to connect with those coaches. And then that high school coach makes zero effort to connect with the strength and conditioning coach like myself. I've been training wrestlers, probably started it was like 2002 when it started out of the garage. And I'd say around 2004 was the time I started going to the clubs. I remember calling about 30 wrestling clubs, and the only two that got back to me, those at the time, was Gene Lezark from CJA and Wally Muhammad when he was running his club Peak inside of St. Benedict's Prep. And I remember Wally saying, "I'm not so arrogant to say I know more than you. Come in and help me." So the system is broken. Here's another part of the system. The parents are financially stressing themselves to get to the wrestling clubs, the traveling, the paying for the hotels. They have to work extra jobs to support their child. They want to bring maybe bring their son to me, but they might be saying, well, such and such is, 10 minutes closer and $50 cheaper a month. I'll do that. I'm not saying that's the best decision, especially when you're driving a Range Rover or a Cadillac and you're looking for cheaper. We all know those parents. But the system is broken because here's the bottom line. We don't have a unified system. We have pockets of systems that are being built in several towns. I'd say Cranford is doing a very good job building their recreation program. They didn't argue with the middle school. They just said, okay, listen, let's just go with a K-8 program. Now, since middle school sports have come back, we have arguments. When I coached middle school wrestling, I remember the rec coaches would say, don't go to middle school practice. But let me tell you who did go to middle school practice and rec practice. Are you ready? His name? Scott Winston. Scott was never, I'm too good to be here and practice with Zach and go to the rec. The rec had the better wrestlers. I was working with first-time wrestlers, but you know what? I would drill with Scott. I would go live with Scott, and he did the extra work, and the kids whose parents said, don't go, it caught up to them. So we have, I don't want to say a broken system. We don't have a system. It's a system in one town, not a system for the next 15, 20 towns. Look at some of these top Division I wrestling programs. They get like the intern strength conditioning coach, or they get the strength coach that it's like, hey, okay, we got nothing else for you, just do that. And then they get a new strength coach, somebody who doesn't understand the ins and outs, not just of the sport of wrestling, but the mentality of each wrestler and what it takes to succeed. So it's the system we're missing, guys. And even with that screwed up system, USA is doing pretty darn good. Jordan Burroughs had a bad day for whatever reason. Who am I to speak? I'm not that guy that's going to be like, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But every wrestler has had a bad day. And there's no such thing as a bad day happening at the right time. There's just no such thing. But when I hear of what I know of his background, the club that he wrestled at, 241, through high school, the high school coaching, the college coaching, the support system. We need to build these regional training centers into something much more special. We need to put, the wrestling coaches have to stop pretending to be strength coaches unless I don't want to say strength coach. When I say strength, that's an umbrella. There's just many facets of strength. There's speed strength, strength endurance, absolute strength, explosive strength. There's so many different strengths. I'm saying physical preparation. So we don't have a system. We have people arguing. We have egos involved. We have parents who've never wrestled trying to tell the coaches how it's done. We have coaches who want to work kids hard, who are afraid to work kids hard because they only have half a team. And if they work them too hard, the kid who doesn't like to work too hard but is naturally gifted will quit the team, and then he'll tell all his friends. We're in a messed up system. We don't have to fight for milk in America. But as you see in some of these overseas countries, their families are better taken care of when that athlete is doing well. So our system needs to become a system, because we don't have a system. We have kind of people doing their own thing, and there's not a whole lot of cohesiveness. Okay, high school coaches, go and develop relations with the performance coaches in your area, strength conditioning, wrestling clubs. When I was at the middle school as a coach, I'd finish practice and I would go to Edison High School and practice with them, and then I'd stay after with Coach Nisavachi, and he'd say, "What are you drilling? Show me how you do it." "Okay, let's tweak it like this." We'd spend 20 minutes together tweaking the cradle, tweaking the Turk, going over chain wrestling, creating a feeder system to the high school, which made that high school better. And now everybody has to argue in all these towns, and it's ridiculous. That's the bottom line. So we need a better system. That's it. I'm Zach Evnesh, Underground Strength Gym. Did my wrestling workout today, even though I'm 40. Once a wrestler, always a wrestler. Shout out to my high school coaches for changing my life. Wrestling changed my life.